Hey guys, I'm Davey Wavey, creator of the gay erotic website Himeros.tv. And today I am joined by Mike and Kyle from the Gayish podcast. Hey guys.
Hey there. Thanks for having us on again.
Yeah, we are going to talk about gay cruising, which is very exciting, and not the Royal Caribbean kind involving boats and tropical islands. Yeah, it is the kind involving big dicks and blowjobs in bathrooms and getting fucked in back alleys.
Well, I don't know what kind of princess cruises you've been on, but
they could be the same thing.
They could be the same thing. And actually, quite frankly, if I had a choice between a cruise and getting fucked in a back alley, I think I'd pick the latter.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Probably me too.
Yeah.
You'd pick being on a boat?
I don't know. I went on a cruise once that was like all adults, and that was pretty legit. And then I went on a Carnival cruise, and it was just like children everywhere. Oh. And in which case, I would agree, getting fucked would be better.
But even the adults, were the adults like annoying tourists, or were they fun?
I don't know. I was with my ex-wife, so it was all terrible.
Okay, you might have been an annoying tourist too. Okay, great. Let's get started.
Great.
Himeros Live is sponsored by Himeros.tv. Himeros.tv is like porn, but better. Himeros.tv takes everything that you love about porn, the models, the cum shots, the fucking, and combines it with everything that you wish porn had, like authenticity, vulnerability, passion, and real connection. Filmed by world-class directors and produced by yours truly, join the gay porn revolution at Himeros.tv. All right. Hey guys, thanks for coming back. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, usually we only do one-time hookups, but
we're willing to repeat with you.
Yeah, lightning struck twice. Was it that good?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, I'm told my whole tastes like cupcakes. What?
Wow. Okay.
I'm actually really angry with you guys. I have a bone to pick.
Oh no, what happened?
You did an episode about sluts and you didn't invite me.
I was already invited, so it was like that's enough slut in the room for one day. And
okay.
You're not buying it.
Had adequate representation. I'm not buying it.
Well, you can like trade slutty stories to try to like one up each other later.
That episode was really weird because it started live at the Portland Podcast Festival, but they only gave us 20 minutes for what's usually an hour plus show. So we had to like come back and record other parts. And I guess we could have invited you to those parts, unless you wanted to come to Portland. Portland's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would to talk about sluts. I mean, I'd be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have you on again soon, and we can pick the sluttiest topic you want to. Maybe
okay. So, but I do have a question. The OkCupid study that you guys cited, do we have any sense of like whether or not that's true? I guess do you remember what the statistics were like roughly?
Yeah, I know. What it said is, on average, gay and straight men have about the same number of sexual partners, but there's a small percentage of gay men that are having a disproportionately large amount of the gay sex.
And what was that?
It was
number like
1% of guys. Oh man, it was like.
Are having 26% of the sex. Is that what
something I don't remember, but something crazy like that. Like 1% of guys are going at it hard. And
well, apparently that's all I'm friends with, because and granted, I am friends with most of my friends are porn stars and sex workers, so I might not be the representative sample.
There's a skew in the sample there.
Yeah, you go down to Houston, Texas, where I'm from, and it might be a little different. But.
Yeah, well, because they said there was like on average people have 7 sex partners in their life.
Yeah, something like that. It's like 6. Yeah, it was 6 1 year, 7 1 year, something like that. Yeah.
Do you know anyone that has only had 7 sex partners in their life?
My mom and her mom.
Okay.
I'm sure. It better be true. Don't tell me any different.
Like a gay man, I feel like people lied. It's like when I used to get tested when I was in college, I went to a Catholic school, and they would like take statistics, and the woman would always say to me, "How many sex partners have you had?" And I would be like, 8. I would just like say a number, and she would like fall off her stool, and she'd be like, "I don't even need to test you. You have like full blown AIDS. You're dying. This is it." I wonder if it's that kind of survey.
It probably is. I mean, a lot of that is self-reported, and a lot of times like it's hard to get a real answer from people without doing like there are these intense survey practices where you can like trick people into telling you the truth, but that sounds bad, but in a good way.
Questions.
Yeah, or like you put 5 answers down and say pick 3 out of 5 of these are true, or something, some weird approaches. Anyway, no one's going to actually do that. So
yeah,
I think self-reported is the most you have.
And a good doctor would have just taken whatever number you said and doubled it. At least I have a friend who's a physician's
quadruple
assistant.
Please.
I have a friend who's a physician's assistant, and he always asks his patients, how many drinks do you have a week for alcohol? And he's like, yeah, whatever they say, they lie, and double it at least.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like, I've maybe had 7 sex partners since like September, but like, I don't know. I've been sexually active for 20 years. And even if you think about like, if you have sex with 10 different people over the course of a year, that's 200 sex partners. And although I feel like,
we do have like friends that have known each other, and actually guests that have been on our podcast that have known each other and been married for like all together for like 10 plus years, since they were in college. So I could imagine you might just like kind of skip your slutty phase if you're like one of those get right into a relationship kind of people.
And do they have like open relationships? Like, are they fucking other people?
Not that I know of.
I wonder about that. I feel like they're on my grinder grid.
Would that make it hotter if they were like underground open and you could just like slide one in? Like, get one in, and then like you'd be the only one they've hooked up with.
I just feel like I don't believe it. I don't know. Someone's lying there.
Yeah. We don't know who it is.
I've only banged like 3 times all year, and so I'm bringing the average down.
Well, was it the same person all 3 times?
No.
Oh, 3 different people. Good for you.
Yeah. And then for how long have you been sexually active?
1 year.
My point is, you start to multiply that out. It adds up, and you get to 7 very quickly.
Yeah, well, and now that I'm over 40, the last time I hooked up, I couldn't walk the next day. Like, it fucked up my back.
Oh my God, girl.
Like, hashtag sex after 40, not a good idea.
Yeah, that might have been the last sex you ever have now.
Right.
You might just have to close up shop.
It's just not worth it. I want to watch reruns and drink beer.
That's my sex now. Gilmore Girls.
Oh my God. By the way, I think it's totally fantastic that people are sluts. Like, I feel like the world needs more fucking. It needs more connection. And I think it especially needs more gay sex.
Yeah,
we need our gay sex.
We need both positivity about being gay and positivity about fucking everyone, because those are 2 things that we're not allowed to do or haven't been able to do without a lot of shame and sometimes even death. So I agree. Like, the people that want to get to it, like, now is your time to shine.
Yeah. We're doing a concept. We're doing a shoot in Amsterdam in January. And one of the concepts is going to be based around kind of this conversation. And it has a lot of influence around like HIV and AIDS. And I think there's this kind of legacy of trauma and fear and slut shaming that's really come out of the AIDS crisis that like has really disconnected gay men from their sex. One of the tantric coaches, he wrote this paragraph, which I took a note of over here. And he's very spiritual with his approach to sex. And he wrote, "Some people tell us that in olden days, long ago, our people, the queer tribe, we were called the magicians, the storytellers, and the spell weavers. We were the ones who were called upon at the time of birth and the time of death. We had access to another level of seeing things, and we could see the world in front of our eyes in a way that others could not. It is time for us to reclaim that power." So he was making a point that because of slut shaming and HIV and AIDS and the trauma that kind of came from that and our disconnect from our sex, that we've like lost touch with this magic that we as gay men once had, which I think is really cool. It's like really beautiful.
I think it's really interesting you would bring up spirituality, because I think organized religion has done so much to take that power away from people. Like, there's so many rules about who's banging who and how and when that's okay. And all of it's about control. It's all about power and making sure that the religion has a firm grasp over people's pleasure. And so I think making it a spiritual mission or a spiritual goal to have more sex because that sort of is shaking off the chains that have been put on us for so long by organized religion.
Right, because you start to realize that power that we'd otherwise need to go to a church or to a religious institution to find is something that we all have ourselves, and we can access it through our sexuality. Of course, they don't want us to know that. Of course, they're going to tell us that, that it's wrong and that, we need to feel shame to disconnect us from that.
Yep, absolutely.
We had a tantra coach who, he was talking about full body orgasms, and he was saying that when some guys experience them, they like have out of body experiences. He said that like people commune with like dead relatives, and like
wait,
if you
while
can do all
they're
that
banging?
shit,
Well, no,
while they're
orgasm?
having a full body orgasm.
That's the last time I want to talk to grandma. It's like, your cookies are delicious. I'm busy. That's crazy.
That's a good point.
I've never experienced anything like that. I mean, I also haven't done the full body video yet, so maybe maybe I need to get on that.
Yeah, I haven't had a full body orgasm. I think I have too much shame and too much stuff to work through to get there, but maybe someday.
Yeah.
Have you gotten close, or how do you know?
I think I'm on a path to it. Like I've certainly been experiencing, like this is probably more than anyone cares to know, but I've noticed sometimes as I'm like pleasuring myself or like really having good sex with other guys that I start to get like the orgasmic shakes through my body, as opposed to just like kind of, coming and it's over, but just like really like kind of that scene from The Exorcist where you're like, it's super hot guy.
I've noticed that when I'm jerking off, when I'm watching porn, sometimes I can like get really close and have it feel like really good, almost like a tiny orgasm, but then like keep going and then like have another one. So I like basically now have multiple orgasms.
Wow. That's something women are really good at, by the way.
That's a little bit of exaggeration, but like I can like kind of almost in that direction.
Is that different than edging, or is that what you're doing?
No, like a little bit further. If you like just take it past the point a little bit and kind of feel a little bit of the like orgasm sensation, but then take it back down and then keep going. You haven't fully like shot your bottle rocket off.
This is why we should have you on more often, Davey, because we don't usually aren't that graphic about what we're doing with our dicks on our show. And this is twice now, just being around you. We've talked about way more mechanics than usual.
That's true.
Yeah, the truth is, I don't know what else to talk about. Like,
nor should you have to.
I've only got one channel, guys. Only one channel. It's TikTok. I was going to say, though, to your point about the little like mini orgasms, and a lot of the stuff that we filmed, it's about like, as like we're especially pleasuring your genitals, the energy is kind of building up in that area. And if you can spread it out through your body, either yourself or having a partner help do that, it starts to kind of, I think, kind of hit some of what you're talking about. Like it starts to spread out a little bit and you can start to feel these little like mini orgasms.
Oh, well, maybe
that's what you're doing.
Okay, never mind. I've done it.
You're a tantrika.
Keep practicing, and soon see your grandma. Apparently.
Yeah. I digress. So what do you know what the topic will be when we're on your podcast next time?
No.
What do you want it to be? What if we let you name it? Is that too much pressure?
Think about that. Last time we did porn.
Yep.
Last time we went for the obvious thing of we're talking with you about porn. We'll talk about porn on ours, but this time we could go like something completely crazy. Like we could just talk about NASA or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Just something
like sex in space.
Yeah. Yes.
And if you have sex in a hot tub, it actually feels weightless.
Wow.
Because you know how they train NASA astronauts in pools. This is my new. If you use water, if you use silicone-based lube in a hot tub, you can actually have sex in an almost weightless environment. It feels like so. Yeah, totally. Let's run with it.
All right,
sex in space.
We've also never talked about lube.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. So many topics, right, for discussion.
Yeah.
Or nipples. I've always wanted to do nipples, and you'd be perfect for that.
That's a good
That's a
point.
good-
I don't know why we didn't go to that at the very
A good
beginning.
point. No pun intended. Speaking of podcasts, though, and this is another possible topic. There was a new podcast this week, and I think it was actually geared towards straight women, but the entire episode was about women's pubic hair, and it was like a discussion around trends in pubic hair, and a lot of it was related to like how women are oppressed by the patriarchy to like shave their pubes. And anyway, my question to you guys is, what's your pubic hair like and why?
Right now, mine is a mess. It's all natural and just it's just not
A
great
bush.
because
It's a bush.
it's large and in charge, and because I have a boyfriend, so like I don't feel the need to like
Try anymore?
it's like my like you gotta do it anyway. So I know, but I've noticed that I actually don't really care that much. Like when I was dating, like I would be like, you always have to have shaved balls. Like you got to make sure those are clean, and like that's the just if you're gonna hook up, at least shave your balls. But now I'm just like, you have to like me anyway.
So full bush.
Full, yeah, not, and I'm not necessarily proud of that. I'm just saying that is the current state.
Okay. And
So usually trimmed, like just with scissors, but
scissors.
just with scissors, yeah. Like
Who trims their bush with scissors?
I do.
That seems so dangerous.
Well, it's funny you say that. Last time I cut my scrotum, and so I
Wait, scissors on your balls? I was thinking it like up top.
Well, no, I was doing like the crick, the part where your leg meets your taint, and then like it just kind of I didn't see where it was. There's a lot of three-dimensional shit that's happening when you're
Yeah.
when you're using scissors. Anyway, so I'm currently in the market for a new way to trim everything that doesn't involve scissors because I learned that lesson the hard way.
That seems like the worst idea in the world.
I know, like even tweezers seem like better idea than that.
Yeah. I've used Magic Shave, which is like I think it's targeted for men to like use on their beards, but it's kind of like I want to say it's like a Nair, but with like a shea butter in it.
And Nads. Do you remember Nads from Australia?
No, what's that?
It was that goopy shit that they would put on, and then they it's like Nair, but they looked like, I don't know, like maybe maple syrup or something that they'd spread on there and then put a piece of cloth over it and then rip the cloth off.
Oh my God. So like waxing it almost.
Like waxing, but room temperature goop instead.
Oh, that sounds horrible too. Yeah, no, Magic Shave is like a cream that you put on, and then 4 minutes later you just wipe it off and all your hair comes off. You also get cancer. You get like 3 different kinds of cancer.
Worth it.
But you're super, super smooth. Yeah.
Wait, what about you right now?
Well, I make sure that my butt is hair. Ooh, whoa, I just got excited there. Hit the mic. I make sure that my butt is hairless. And I don't know why. I've really tried to move towards like a place where I can appreciate a hairier ass, because that is the natural state of like most men's asses. And I don't know if it's just I've seen too much porn, or I don't know where that comes from. But then on the front side, I kind of keep the balls shaved and the top part trimmed. It's a lot of work. It's actually a lot of work. I think if I wasn't trying to impress people, or if I wasn't sexually active, I don't think I would do it.
Yeah.
Do you do it all yourself? Is it all self-care?
It is. Yeah.
You don't like find someone that like gets off on shaving guys and
Well, I have friends who go to the salon or whatever and get what they call the second crack and like have most of it taken care of for them.
Wow.
Waxing, I'm already no, that's not in my.
I mean, there's a very body positive people too who are down with like just letting some woman shave their everything for them. But
wait, she shave or wax?
It's wax. It's waxing.
Ooh, that's
waxing. Yeah.
I'm sure it's fine, but that would make me nervous.
I had my hole bleached once.
Really?
Yeah, and that was and that was a very humbling experience.
Okay, so did you just decide one day my butthole needs to be a different color, or did somebody say something to you? Like, how does one reach the decision to do this?
Yeah, it was a long journey of several years to get to that point. I'm half Portuguese, so like my nipples, my balls, my whole it's just so intense. Are like they're just darker like in color because of just my natural skin tone. And I don't think there's anything wrong about having darker skin, but I think on me, who has generally lighter skin over the rest of my body, I felt like it looked like my hole was dirty.
Oh.
And so I wanted it to be kind of a consistent shade. So I went to this Russian lady. Of course, it's always a Russian lady when you get your hole bleached. And she had me just like get on all fours, which wasn't particularly unfamiliar, except that there was a Russian lady behind me.
Yeah, you've had
and
practice.
she takes this brush and like almost like a paintbrush and just paints her hole with some horrible chemical that's like bleachy or whatever, and it burns. It's like it's really bad. And I didn't notice any difference. And it was like $170.
Wait, so after it was all over, you didn't see any difference? Is that what you said?
I didn't notice a difference. Yeah, I didn't have she didn't do a before and after picture for me, but my sense was that it didn't change much.
Just searing pain. Great.
Yeah.
Which, it's funny that you said the word clean, which I know for a lot of people, hair is they associate that with dirtiness, and that might have something to do with why you want to be hairless back there also.
But sometimes also like in fucking, like the hair can get in the way and be like not like kind of hurt a little bit. Huh. So
I do think there is some like cleanliness, and you can't even like really, if a guy's butt is really hairy, it's hard to like access the hole or to like get to it or to like see it.
Yeah.
I did some research on this, and apparently the reason why we have pubic hair, because there's got to be some reason. We have it like on our heads, under our armpits, and like on our genitals, and then I guess for some people in other places as well. They said that it traps the smell of your pheromones. So back when we were more kind of primal, animalistic, it was so that your genitals smelled like you.
Oh,
which just like totally grosses me out. But
yeah, I'm having a reaction to that.
Oh, I'm like, that's adorable. Okay, different reactions.
You know how like dogs like sniff each other's crotches?
Yeah.
So I guess you would just be like, oh yeah, get up in that bush. I don't know.
That sounds sexy.
You know what? Next month I'm interviewing the self-professed world's hairiest porn star. So so I'll ask him, I guess.
Sounds like way more than we'll have. Our recommendations are use scissors. Oh wait, maybe don't.
No.
So
no.
That's it.
Well, it's just funny because I mean, like in a lot of ways, I mean, whether it's like scissors or me going through all this effort, like in so many ways, gay men feel it seems like we're at war with our bodies. And this is a guy who very much embraces his hair and celebrates it as being very sexy. So there's probably a lot for many of us to learn from that conversation.
I feel like it's even like we're supposed to have like amazingly decorated houses and be very well dressed. Like everything about us is supposed to be like beyond perfection. And I think that's just one more way where we're supposed to have like shaped everything up to be perfect. And it's
too fucking much, right?
It's too much. You can't do all of it unless you have like a staff.
I can't do it. Yeah, I'm done. Fuck it. I'm growing out that bush.
Yeah, just let it go. Let it fly.
To sum up, just give up.
I suppose at some point we should talk about this week's video.
Oh, sure.
Okay, sure.
So on Himeros TV, it is titled The Road Traveled, and it features Hunter Graham alongside Remy Cruz. You guys can click on over to himeros.tv to watch the free explicit trailer, or your cheap ass can join and watch the full video. Anyway,
your cheap hairy ass can...
So in the film, Hunter pulls up in what I believe is a 1966 Lincoln Continental, which I feel is really like kind of the third. Like there's two models in this. You know, there's two guys, but this is kind of like the third character in the
That's right.
It has a life of its own. So it's the film is supposed to be set like in the 1970s ish. It's kind of unclear because I feel like the clothes are a little bit more 80s, and so is the music. But Hunter's at the wheel and he sees Remy kind of in the shadows, and the idea is that he's at some sort of like known cruising location, which by the way means like a public place that gay men go to have sex. I no longer assume that gay men know what cruising is, because especially the young ones, they don't know what it is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, don't have to.
Do you know what it is?
Yes. Not necessarily from like participation in, but yeah, we actually did an episode about cruising as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation with a friend of mine he's 21, and I asked him, that was actually for a YouTube video, and I asked him what cruising was, and he's like, it's like when you like meet a guy on Grindr and then you're like cruising to his house to meet him. And I was like, no.
Well, I've also heard like the definition expanded to like, I mean, we even talked about this on our episode, like it can be just beyond outdoor areas. It can be like you're in a bar and you're looking someone up and down, like you're giving them these signals that say like, hey, like let's do this thing. Or like even being online, like on the apps, like you're cruising on the app. So I've heard it now in a lot of different ways than I think it started.
So you've heard it digitized.
Yeah.
Wow, because I would not consider Grindr cruising, but
I don't either. But same for me. I like thought of it as outdoor locations, like you described, but other people apparently have like different definitions of it.
Yeah, it's like Grindr is cruising in the same way that watching porn is having sex.
Oh, that's true.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, like
like you can also, a lot of cruising happened in like public restrooms. Like that was the hot spot. Like in universities, like in libraries, there was always like kind of designated space.
And now, now in the news, like the only thing you're seeing publicly is like Republican senators that do it.
Right. Yeah.
Like you don't see news about like gay men doing that anymore. It still happens, but like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like largely, I mean, we'll get into this, but I feel like gay men, because we no longer have to live our lives in the shadows, like we only do cruising. I mean, and again, it depends what your situation is, where you are in the world, but like now it's more kind of cruising by choice rather than cruising by necessity.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was cruising today at the gas station. There was this really hot guy, and we just kept like looking at each other. And so I guess to answer the question, cruising is searching for gay sex in kind of like a public-ish setting is how I would define it. Yeah. And so that's what this video is about. They're in this cruising location. So the two guys in the video, they make this like nervous eye contact, and then Remy comes over and Hunter blows him, and then they're making out in the car. And at one point they do some sort of like crazy gymnastics where Hunter's like upside down in front of the headlights, blowing Remy, and they're like 69ing, but vertically.
Yeah.
It was very impressive.
Yeah, that takes some upper and lower body strength to make that happen.
Yeah. And that was completely like spontaneous and unexpected when we were filming that. We were just like, okay. And then Remy fingers Hunter, and then Hunter blows a load, and it's all set to some like really wonderful 80s synth music. Soundtrack available on iTunes. It's not. It's not.
Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah, it's the Himeros TV soundtrack.
Is that stock music, or do you have somebody that composes it?
We have like a licensing agreement where we can go to this database and pull music. So yeah, it's all licensed, but there's a huge selection that we can pull from. And a lot of it we kind of have to mix on our own to find like the perfect match.
Yeah.
There's also, so just to complete the video, there's a voiceover at the beginning that says, and I'll try to do my sexy voice, which people always think that I'm a woman on these voiceovers. So a sexy woman though. This has been the road traveled by many gay and queer men before our time, always looking for a safe place to go. Travel was necessary, and sometimes still is, to find somewhere, anywhere, to fuck. We fuck because it is an expression of who we are. and we dance with the danger of being found out because we have no choice but to live our deepest truths, even if it's in the shadows.
Ooh, I almost started jerking off again.
I am right now.
and that,
Okay, so question.
Yeah.
Because you were married until when were you married?
well, our divorce was final in January.
Okay.
We split up. Like he moved out in May, so a year and a half.
Okay, so were you ever in a straight relationship prior to that?
I was also married to a woman.
Okay,
before
okay.
that, yeah.
I think that's what I was getting at. When you were married to a woman, did you like seek out sex with men? Like how did that work?
Yes. So a lot of people ask, like, hey, how did you, like, why did you get a divorce, or what was the final like straw that made you decide to come out and be gay? And it's that one of her friends told me that she was my ex-wife, that she was cheating on me with a dude from work. So then I decided to cheat on her with a dude from work. And so I forget what site it was. I think it was like Manhunt or something like that. And then
I remember Manhunt.
yeah, and then discovered that there was this dude. It was hot that worked there, but he was in a different building because I was at Microsoft, and it's a big ass campus. And so we arranged to ride the same bus home. And
Okay.
so did this, like, we met when he sat down next to me on the bus, and in retrospect, that was really hot.
Oh, I'd be like, would make me real nervous because you have a full bus ride to be like, what if I don't want to talk to you and can't do anything?
Yeah.
And were you talking to each other on the bus, or were you just like?
Yeah. And then we were talking to each other, and then we made. My wife was going out of town like in a couple of weeks, so that was when I had my first gay experience. Actually, she left town, and I went over to his place.
Were you afraid of being found out?
Yes, but that also made it really exciting, right? Like
Yeah.
that's sort of the hot part about the, like, we met on the bus, was that there are all these people around. And of course at that time too, I was still in the closet. I was still married to a woman. So like it was really it was exhilarating in a way that sounds kind of boring now, maybe.
I guess that's true. If I put myself in my like younger body, oh, that would be better. That like it's just sitting, it's like that buildup, and that I think you can see in the video of like, we're making eye contact, and like even the music I thought like went really well with, like, it's the buildup is part of the excitement of just figuring out, like, is he actually into me, or did he just look at food in my face, or like, okay, he looked a third time, so it must be something. And
Yep. Yeah. And in porn, I like the buildup. I like the story. I like the interaction before the fucking. Like, I know that there's a lot of people who they start the porn and they immediately skip forward to like the 5-minute mark because they don't want any of that shit. And to me, that's like really important. And so this whole bus experience was like that in real life. It was anticipation, and it was buildup, and it was tension, and it was that made it hot.
Yeah, and that danger, like that risk of potentially being found out, like adds an intensity to it that like it becomes exhilarating. Like so there's a guy at my gym that's really hot, and there's not a lot of people at my gym. It's usually really empty in the morning, and I go super early, and he goes to the bathroom and he like locks himself in the stall. There's only one stall, but he'll be in there for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So I've started to build this whole story that like he goes in there to jerk off, right? Like,
Yeah.
And I mean, he'd come out and he wouldn't even flush the toilet. So like, obviously he wasn't, I have like, I've been monitoring the situation, doesn't flush. And I'm like pretending to do like crunches like outside the bathroom door.
Because that's where you do that. Yeah.
Each day I got like a little bit bolder, and I guess in my mind I created the story that not only was he jerking off, well, he must be gay, and then he also must be interested in having sex with me, which is why he comes every day, even though he makes no like any kind of contact or advance that, or any indication that he actually would be interested in me. So I was trying to figure out a way, like, I'm like, oh, he's just too nervous to say anything. What should I do? So, and he's really hot, and like, I really kind of want to get in on it. So I'm almost like embarrassed to admit what I did.
Oh, now I'm excited.
Now you have to.
I wrote a note and I said, "Do you want your dick sucked?" and I put a little pencil next to it, and I stuck it in the bathroom stall, like right before I knew he would be getting there.
Whoa. Okay.
And that anticipation and that feeling like your heart in your like throat kind of like intensity.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like I like almost couldn't breathe. And then the motherfucker didn't show up. It was like the only day that he hadn't. Yeah. So,
are you gonna do it again the next time?
No. So he came. So the next day he was there, and I hadn't hid the note, but instead I was like washing my hands a little too long at the bathroom sink, and he like obviously realized I was there because I was washing my hand for 5 minutes, and he came out of the stall and he was like, "What are you doing? Like, are you waiting to use the bathroom?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, of course." And then yesterday was our final encounter, which was, I was like, I'm just going for it. I'm going to go like hop in the shower stall, which is right across from the bathroom, but like leave the curtain open. And I've never seen that man like go into the bathroom and leave as quick as he did when I was in the stall.
No.
Okay, then what's he doing for those 20 minutes? That's what I want to know.
Well, I think he is jerking off, and he even maybe,
I guess straight people do that too. Okay.
Yeah, well, and he may even be gay, but like that doesn't necessarily mean he'd be interested in me. So,
all right, I didn't think of any of those things.
Yeah, so that was my cruise fail. Way to kill the mood, Davey.
Well, I think the note thing is A, brilliant, and B, I would be so terrified that somebody else would find the note and they would sparkle yes and hand it back, right?
Yeah, but there's no one that's there. Like there wasn't really that much of a chance of anyone else getting it. So have you guys ever engaged in cruising? I want specific examples.
No. Like, I mean, I've more what I would say like in a bar or something where you do that. Like I think the most I've done is like those looks with someone else where you're like, and then I always am like too nervous to do anything. Even if I do, like I've done that also, like just walking around outside. This actually happened just recently. And so it was because I have a boyfriend that I wouldn't do anything, but like this guy walked down the stairs outside my building where I had just walked outside with my dog, and he looked at me and we both did the like, the one up and down, and was like, oh, like, yep, you're gay, great. And so he walked down the sidewalk, turned around, and he looked at me, and I was looking at him, and then he kept going, and he turned around and looked at me again, and I was like, oh my
God.
So it was like, by that time it's like I knew, but so I feel like that's the most I've ever gotten to.
Did your heart start to like race a little bit?
There is a little bit of like excitement of like, yeah. And I also, something I like is like newness of things, like new situations and new people. So that is, definitely something exciting.
Yeah. Mike, have you cruised?
Well, yes, but I didn't. Well, okay. So when I first came out, that was like 10 years ago. And I was like jacked, like I was cut. I looked crazy good naked, and it makes me sad to look at my pictures from that time of my life. But I would go up to Green Lake, which has a circular track around it here in Seattle. It's a park. It's like a 3-mile loop. And I ran around and saw somebody going the opposite direction and did the like make eye contact, like, oh, you're cute. And I could tell that he thought that I was too. So then I like took my shirt off for the next loop around. So then we met, so after like loop number 4, it was pretty clear that we were both checking each other out, that there was interest there. And then I like totally chickened out. I felt so like gross. I wish I had a better word. Like I couldn't take that next step of like, okay, just stop and talk to this person, or make a motion, like make a move of some kind, right? Hand him a note underneath of the stall. And I didn't do it. I couldn't quite get there because I felt dirty.
And that's part of like what you started with, Davey, is like probably a little bit of being gay and the idea of sex at that time, like we're made to feel bad that we feel that way, and probably holds us back in those situations.
Yeah. I shamed myself out of it. Thanks, society.
Yeah. And did he kind of, to what, you just ended up just leaving? You just like walked off?
So the last the last loop ended right at like the parking lot, and I saw him like standing next to his car, and it was like a "you should follow me," and I just that's what I just kept running.
Figuratively and literally.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Now that you're saying this, I realize, well, this was probably, there's like actually a little bit of like danger, like actual danger if you like decide to cruise, because I'm remembering something. I did the same thing. I chickened out, but it was around Pride, which like everyone gets bolder during Pride. And there was this car of dudes that like, drove by and like whistled at me. And I'm the kind of person, I'm like, oh, me, like I'm flattered by that. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And then they like pulled over and they were like, do you want to get in? And yeah, a group of guys wants me to hop in their car, probably for lots of car sex. Yes, I'll do it. But then I'm like, but don't get in the car with random people also. So like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Your mom yelling at you when you were 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Kyle, actually, we have a pact. I don't think either of us have ever actually used it, but if we text each other and it's the word slut and a time and an address, that we're supposed to, like, that's the time that we're supposed to worry about the other and try to go find the body, because we've gone home with a complete stranger. That might be a dangerous situation.
I did that with you once.
That's true. Oh, that's right. You did.
And I lived.
You're still here.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm not understanding this concept.
So like, if you go hook up with someone and you're like, oh, I'm going to their place, so like, I might get murdered. So you say like, okay, I'm going to leave at like 5 a.m. So I'll text Mike slut 5 a.m. and the address that I went to. So that way, if it gets to be 5 a.m. and he hasn't heard from me, I am missing, call the cops and send him to that address.
Oh, that's you could also just do like share your location on your phone with some of your like, that's what I have. I'm like, if my body ever needs to be tracked down, though, it's going to it'll track your phone, not your body. So I guess that's a little problematic.
And like, you got to know, like, there's a, like, be worried about me if you don't hear from me by this time is an important part of it too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's
you're my slut buddy.
Oh, thank you.
I did have one successful cruising situation when I was in college, which I mentioned. I did a YouTube video about cruising earlier in the week, and I was on an Amtrak train going back to school, and there was a really hot guy across from me, and we were doing the eye contact thing, and then I started grabbing my crotch, and he was doing it, and he walked back to the end of the train and went into the bathroom, and I went to the bathroom on the other side. And I just kind of like, I was again washing my hands, but I had like the door propped open, and so he could, if he came out, he would see me in there, and he didn't come out. And so finally I was like, I have to pee. So I shut the door and I locked it and started peeing. And then he burst through the locked door, pulled his dick out and like made me suck it. And it was super hot. And
wow.
I came and yeah. And then he like held my hand and like sat with me for the rest of the ride back to school, which was not what I wanted.
Oh no. It was like finding a lost dog.
Note to self, the bathroom locks on Amtrak suck.
Yeah, they're not good. They're not good. So, all right. So any other thoughts on the video?
Yeah. Was that actually filmed outside? Was it a sound
It was
stage?
filmed outside. No, it was outside. Yeah.
So it was filmed outside at night. Like maybe what time of year was that? Because I was like, God, they must be cold.
No, we filmed it in Palm Springs. We filmed it in October, but it was like 80 degrees out, and it was in a sealed like parking lot that was fenced in, so there wasn't any risk of like anyone driving by and like and finding us. But
I sometimes during porn, including this one, like have those kind of like irrational thoughts of like, that counter's dirty, don't fuck on there, or like, like some like, and this one when like he picked him up, I was like, oh my God, you're gonna fall, watch out, be careful. And I'm like, this is fine. Or like when they sat on the hood of the car, I was like, check it first to make sure it's not hot. All these weird like anxiety, like careful thoughts that I have like sometimes come in. That was this one a little bit. Yeah. But I did find something new. I know I like arm veins, like
okay,
got like nice biceps and like veins, but I've never noticed. I think it was Hunter in the car. And he had like these, like while he was getting blown, he like had these really nice like neck veins. I never thought about that. And I was like, neck veins. All right, that's a new thing for me.
Yeah, neck veins are sexy. I also liked Remy has tattoos on his hands,
Yeah.
which I thought was really hot. And there's a moment in the video where Remy puts his like hands over Hunter's like mouth and just starts like kind of choking him, and like I'm into that.
Yeah. Okay. Same here. There were a lot of like Remy wasn't like super dumb, like choke him out to like, but he did all these things like put his hand in his mouth and put his hand over his throat and pick him up, that like were these like, even when he was the one doing the blowing, that was like, you could tell he was the more dominant one. And I like that.
Yeah, it was funny because both of them in real life are very submissive bottoms.
Oh, wow.
And so
Acting.
Remy was, well, it was kind of like Remy was excited to kind of like play this role and step into this like more dominant, he just really owned it. And when we film, it's like anything that the models want to do, like we're game, we want it to be authentic. And he was really like feeling this like dominant energy, which we all have that like in us. We can tap into it. Some of us don't do that very often, like myself included, but it's hot when you really can own it and tap into that, even if it's kind of in a role-playing instance. But I just thought it was funny that they're both like super submissive.
And he's a big dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think that's something that should be explored more in porn, actually, is that like you can be a big guy and still be submissive.
Hello. I'm 6'2", and like, and everyone just assumes I'm a top, and it's just like, just because I'm tall, like that doesn't necessarily.
It's so heteronormative, right? It's like, oh, well, you're the guy, you're tall.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
And then the other person's the woman. Yeah. Like, wouldn't it have been interesting if Hunter was actually the dominant, and Hunter's like 5'2", 110 pounds. Like if he was dominating Remy.
I have actually looked, like I look at porn like that, where there's like either like a big age difference or a big size difference. Like those things are fun when you're looking for it.
Yeah. No, that's something good for another video. So closing thoughts on cruising. Do you feel like cruising is dying? Maybe it is dead. And like, is that good? Is it bad? What are your thoughts?
I have a friend who cruises regularly. Like he loves it, can't get enough of it. There's a website where you can find all of the cruising sites in Seattle. I assume it's like nationwide too, but he goes to this website and he knows where all of the spots are. So I don't think it's dying. I don't think it's dead. It might be dying. Or
how old is he?
He's 30. He's 30. He'll be 31 next month.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that feels pretty young for cruising too.
Yeah, but it's his jam. He's all about it.
Yeah, I think it is dying for a good reason, because I think it is a good sign that people feel more willing to be in relationships, be open, not necessarily about like fucking on the street, just be open about the sex that they're having, and that they want to, and that's okay. So we don't have to have secret meetups to have sex, or secret codes to have sex with people. We're allowed to just say we want to have sex. But yeah, I agree. I don't think it'll ever be dead, because I think there's something hot about that is not based on trying to be being an oppressed group. I think there's something it's just always going to be kind of hot.
Yeah. It seems like we don't need to cruise in the same way that we did maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago. But like, even as a kid, like trying to hide my sexuality, like I became very good at like being secretive, being sneaky, having secret sex. And so even though I'm like out and open now, like there's still something about like tapping into that secrecy in a way where I like own it and do it on my own terms. And so there's still, for me, kind of, it almost feels like cruising is like in my blood a little bit as a gay man.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, it's great that we're all more accepted and we don't need to do it, but there's something really fun and juicy about it. And I think that like apps as a substitution, sure, they're like really efficient, and they give us more choice, but I honestly, as much as the internet is supposed to connect us, I feel that we're more disconnected than ever.
Yeah, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. I always do better in person. So maybe I should start cruising.
Yeah, yeah. I'm all for it. Cool. So, yeah, let's resurrect it. Let's bring it back.
All right.
All right, let's get to some questions. We have 3 questions from the audience, which I think I sent to you guys earlier.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you guys have any questions at home, please send them to Davey at daveywavey.tv. Question number 1. My name is Brandon, and I have a question. I've been thinking about wanting an open relationship, but I don't know how to talk to my partner about it. Please help me in any way that you can. And both of you guys are in monogamous relationships, right?
I'm currently single.
Oh, you're single. Okay.
Mike's single. I'm in a monogamish relationship. So it's not open, but you know.
Is that like gay-ish, monogamish?
Yeah, yes. It was really a branding opportunity for me. No, it just is kind of how it's worked out.
Okay. So that you're in a monogamish relationship.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice or insight into having that conversation about openness?
Yeah, I think I think it could have the potential to go great or terrible depending on how you bring it up, because a lot of people assume, just like they assume bisexuality leads to gay, which is not true. They also assume an open relationship leads to a breakup. So if that's truly not the case and you truly want to explore this, I think talking about what you like and what is hot to you, like, you know, if you can step back from the open relationship part of it, what do you like? You know, do you like watching porn together? Do you like, and talking about, okay, hey, these are the things that I really love and get off on. What are the things that you like? Hey, I really like 3-ways. What are you interested in? And then you can see if some of those, like, what interests you have that overlap. And I think making it about, like, let's talk about things that are hot to us versus, hey, I want to be in an open relationship, which could mean anything.
Right.
Then that's a way to be like, it's about you and I being in a relationship together and finding what's enjoyable for both of us, even if that means other people being involved.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
I was gonna say, one thing you can say that you enjoy is, and I've said this before as a way to kind of like tiptoe into openness territory, is like, oh, you know what I'd find really hot is like watching you have sex with someone else. Like, and that could kind of, you know, lead in that direction. It's less scary than saying I want to fuck other people.
Yeah, then it's less like, hey, I want to fuck someone and I want to find a way to do that. So so then they know it's not just purely about the I want to get fucked or I want to fuck someone else.
Yep. I was gonna say 2 things. The first, you already alluded to, that you can have the conversation without having the conversation, just by sort of dropping hints or starting this trend of talking about what turns you on. The other thing, though, I would say, figure out, like, really ask yourself why or what it is that you're looking for. Because if you're expecting opening your relationship to fix your relationship, I doubt very much it's going to do that. It's like lots of straight couples have a baby because they think it's going to fix their marriage or something.
Right.
I don't think that's, if there's something lacking in your current relationship that you think that this is going to fix, I think you should be really, really careful.
Yeah, and an unhappy closed relationship is going to be an unhappy.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Totally.
And also, don't do it while you're fighting. Like, if you're going to have this conversation, like, I think a lot of people like do it as a, like, you're in the midst of a fight. Well, I want to fuck other people. That's not going to be a good place to have that conversation. And another thing that I think is helpful is to kind of frame it around like, oh, this is something to try, like that there's a temporary nature to it. Like, it's not a commitment for the rest of your lives that you're always going to have an open relationship, but more approaching it as like an experiment, which also feels less scary. Like, let's try this for a couple weeks or a couple months and we can evaluate it and see if it works or not. And I think when you like have this conversation and you put the question of openness into someone's lap, you have to recognize that the entire like culture and society and world that they've lived in has been in support of realistic or unrealistic of monogamy.
Mhm.
And I think it's smart to kind of like put it into their lap, but not like demand an immediate answer, like really let them sit with it and like come back to the conversation, to give them time to mull it over.
Yeah. You have to be like very open with ability to be really open and honest with each other, because if you can't do that, it's so hard. Like it would be a very difficult thing to navigate.
How hard?
Well, I was just thinking
throbbingly hard.
You're describing the angry couple that's in a fight and decides to go in a relationship. That's not great for them. Great for the third guy they fuck, though. Just an angry couple fucking you. Like, that's hot. I'm into that.
That's so hot. Yeah. Let's do it. All right. Question number 2. One of my biggest turn-ons has always been seeing straight guys in gay situations. StraightCollegeMen.com may have been the most visited website growing up in the early 2000s. There's always been something about straight guys either having sex or even just doing something non-sexual, like showering together in the locker room. I don't know why. Now that I'm spending more time reflecting on my own sexuality, I'm amazed how much the ideas of straightness can play into gayness, and probably vice versa. To me, they seem wrapped up in each other more than I ever realized. My questions are, do you relate to this? And could each of you tell the hottest situation that you've ever been in with a straight guy or guys? It's an insightful question.
Yeah. This is my jam. I might have written that question in based on 100%. I absolutely get that. So part of me, a little bit of a downer, will be like, what I've realized is there's a little bit of internalized homophobia. No, more like what's the one where dudes are like, we rule, you suck.
Like straight dudes or just men in general?
Men
like
in patriarchy? General. Yeah, there's like
toxic masculinity.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like toxic masculinity to that, of like being, because I'm like really into straight guys that seem not gay and that are like bros and in a frat and joke like this and drink beer and high five. And like part of that is like,
is it because you hate yourself?
Yeah, probably. I mean, like I think part of it is because I've grown up learning that anything feminine is bad. So straight guys, like, they're the opposite of that. So part of me needed to is exploring that part of it about myself. But the other part is like, it's hot. So like, fraternityx.com.
Self-loathing was the word that you were looking for, right?
Probably. But I'm super into it. I have told guys specifically before, like, that seem kind of like more bro-y, to like wear a backwards hat and like a t-shirt where I can like see their nipples and just treat me bad. And that's a lot of fun. But the hottest thing was in college. There was this guy that was the president of an organization I was in, and I was also one of the officers. And I kind of got like gay vibes from him. And I had heard rumors from someone else that they had done something, but I didn't know. And then one night we were at a party, everyone else was drunk. We locked the door and I blew him, and it was so hot. We stayed up the entire night. And then like someone like tried to open the door and then had to knock on the locked door, which is always a bit of a like, wait, why do these two guys have a locked door? But it was super hot. He is still not out. So
best sex of your life?
Best. No. Since then, I've learned about 3-ways, but it was really cool.
Yeah, that's it. I get it though, like what you're saying about the backwards hat and I feel like it's also because like we were so, or at least myself, like as a feminine gay boy growing up, like that I was so excluded from that club. And like I so desperately like wanted to belong and wanted to be one of the bros and the boys, and like those were the guys that I jerked off to, that I feel like it's just like imprinted in me in a way that's probably fairly destructive. My trainer in Palm Springs is a straight guy, and he's like super muscular and kind of like bodybuilder-ish. And he the other day he said to me, he goes, he's like, dude, do you think it's hot when like a guy's straight? And he's so like into himself and the way that like he touches his clients, and I work with him because he's a good trainer, but I think a lot of his clients work with him because he's kind of semi-flirty in the way that he touches.
Yeah.
He's
And
handsy.
Yeah, it's like job security for him in Palm Springs. All these like gay men that he kind of like manhandles a bit. And like come hell or high water, I was not going to give that man the satisfaction of me being like, yeah, it's totally hot. And I was like, no. Like straight guys, like that's such a turnoff. Why would I want to be with someone that's not interested in me? And he was like, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And I was like, meanwhile, I was like, fuck me. Fuck me. Just like spit on me, call me a faggot, and fuck me.
Yeah, like flex your arms while you're fucking me.
Yeah, and tell me I'm a piece of shit.
Oh my god. You too.
Mike,
no? Mike, you don't relate?
I don't know what's
Mike,
up.
do you have straightcollegemen.com bookmarked on your browser?
No, I was in a fraternity in college. I got all that out of my system.
Okay. All right, great. Question number 3. I know your site is about a different approach to sex, but what about incorporating a love element? There was an Andrew Christian video years ago with Brandy and Colby. I don't know who Brandy and Colby are, but I love that it's like Cher. It's just like just a one name, Brandy and Colby. They were on a date night, and of course it was a bit sexual, but very romantic and showed a level of love. It'd be great to see guys featuring an element of love in dating through sexual exploration and date nights. Would you guys be into seeing a porn, Mike and Kyle, that depicted, I mean, so much of what we see is focused on fucking, but that actually showed a romantic like love element? Would that be interesting or not to you?
I have before seen, I think the answer is yes, but like I guess I don't know what the right way is, but it has to be done in some way, because like I've seen like behind the scenes footage of porn where the two guys are actually really into each other. So they're just like making out and not doing like the behind the scenes footage is no sex, but then making out and being into each other. And I thought that was really hot. And then I went back and watched the porn and liked it even more because I knew that they were genuinely into it. Mm-hmm. Or like watching a movie where it's not like not porn, but there's a date and you're wondering if it's going to actually lead to sex, like gay sex in a movie. Like, yeah, I think there is something hot about that.
Mike?
I mean, yeah, I already said that I really like the story. I like the plot. I read Playboy for the articles.
And you like have feelings before you have sex with people.
And intimacy and feelings are important to me. And so that all really helps. So I think that, yeah, I would really like a porn like that.
Yeah.
I think
I was just gonna say, we filmed a few couples that were like real life couples in porn. I don't know that. I think what translates is that they have chemistry. I don't know that it translates that like, oh, these guys are like in love, or that this feels like romantic.
Yeah. I think the hard part is if you're watching a porn, you're expecting a certain set of things. And I know that's a lot of what you're trying to like a little bit untrain people from like the formula. Yeah, the formula of it. But I still am expecting like a dick somewhere and someone to get fucked. So it does take away a little bit of that surprise element of are they or aren't they. But I could see like that mixed in with like authentic images of people doing date things, like, you know, at a table talking and leaning into one each other, or kissing, or, you know, whispering in the ear, like those kinds of things. Yeah, I think seeing that they actually have a genuine relationship can make it more hot when you see them have sex.
Like a candlelight dinner at a romantic restaurant, and then like one of them climbs under the table. That'd be great.
Yeah. And then the waiter joins in, and then the next table joins in.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That would be kind of fun.
I was just gonna say too that I think the risk there is the romanticism can become cheesy really quickly.
Yeah,
like sure. that shit escalates. So yeah, I mean, we're in the stuff that we're filming in Amsterdam. One of the tenets of we kind of have these principles that we're gonna have the different videos embody is that like even if you're one of the ways that you can become a better lover, even in a hookup situation, is to treat that man like you love him, even if it's just a hookup, to be intimate and make eye contact and connected and communicative. So yeah, so we'll see.
It's my turn. I just got hard. Yeah.
So cool. That's it for the questions. Next week, we will be talking about a video titled The Bath with Matt and Finn. In the meantime, make sure you join us at Himeros TV. It's HIMEROS.TV. Where can people get more of the Gayish podcast?
You can find everything at gayishpodcast.com. We're also available everywhere that podcasts are a thing.
I feel like it's no longer gayish. It's the gayest. Can we do a rebranding?
Yeah. We'll go through a rebranding exercise.
You've already bought the stickers and everything. Unfortunately, it's gonna be gayish for a while.
Yeah. We'll just get pens and we're not that classy. We'll just cross it out with a marker. That's fine.
We definitely need to do some straighter topics too.
We talked about vaginas recently.
That's true. We did talk about vaginas recently.
What's more straight than that? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I don't want to be on that episode. I love vaginas. I just don't have much to say. That's it. They're beautiful. They're wonderful. Many of us were conceived in them, but
yeah,
it's a short episode. The end.
The end. This has been Gayish.
All right. Thanks so much for listening. And as always, more to come.